Hello and welcome to 1985. That's right, the Back to the Future year. This club, it's a MacGregor 945, but it's not the 945 that everybody was expecting. I love ruffling traditionalists' feathers. I mean, I like vintage stuff, but I like the progression. And one of the reasons why we explore the vintage golf world is so we can see how things progress. New materials, carbon, or let's just call it graphite, right? Graphite drivers of today. There's all sorts of carbon fiber heads and everything. And this is one of the earlier graphite drivers. Now, we're going to try to get a hold of some of the first ones, but this one really made an impact on some people with modern materials, and all the way until modern drivers, we've been using graphite, we've been using carbon or graphite in one form or another in heads of golf clubs. So this is also pushing the boundaries of what people are expecting, right? We already had the tailor-made Pittsburgh persimmon when this came out. And are we going to accept, is the golf community going to accept modern materials? And what do those modern materials bring? So first thing we have to do is talk about identifying these graphite heads, and we should do that on the review table. Before we get into the identifying features of this, Jack Nicklaus right here on the crown, what's the difference between carbon fiber? You can see the face insert right here. Carbon fiber versus graphite. Isn't carbon fiber graphite, and isn't graphite a form of carbon? I don't know. Anyway, is it structural? Is it just because they weave this and graphite isn't woven? I don't know. Either way, moving on to identifying features. No toe stamp here. You can see the very 80s 4-screw MacGregor sole plate, velocitized MacGregor G945. I assume G stands for grand, or maybe just graphite. Iomatic insert. Is that an iomatic insert? Yeah, black, white, black, kind of with the targets right there. And the wood number right here. As we move around the skirt, well, first on the hosel, you can see the serial number. I always like calling it a hosel. Hosel just sounds so predictable. You can see they're advertising their carbon. It's amazing. It's made out of carbon. And then we have our face right here, 4-screw face insert, iomatic with 3 dots with a larger bullseye in the middle. Grooves, 141. Very lovely. And you already saw the crown with Jack Nicklaus up there. The whipping. It always cracks me up when I see epoxy holding the whipping in place. That's always lovely. We move up the stepped shaft. There was a shaft label at one point. It's long gone. This is my own tape, 1985, just so I can remember what year these were made. And there's a half cordy grip. What is that? Tor? Is this a lambkin? Half cordy? It says lambkin right here. So interesting head by MacGregor here. Let's get this out on the range and see if I can duff this. Well, looking at it, the 945, even though it is famous, doesn't give me much confidence looking down at this. It's hard to tell it's actually graphite. I mean, looking down at it, it could just be a painted persimmon. Interesting look, though. Again, we'll see how it is. Not exactly the famous 945, but the graphite model. Great-grandfather of all of your graphite drivers right here. Very interesting. Very interesting feeling. Maybe not great-grandfather, maybe more just grandfather. Man, it sure feels sweet though. We're gonna take a full-on modern driver swing. I might completely miss the ball, but this is always just the entertaining part of the driving session here. Wow, feels great. 945, even in graphite, feels amazing. This driver's amazing to hit. I think everybody should hear one of these, see one of these, get a feel for one of these drivers. But the question arises, would I put this in my bag? And we'll talk about that here at the end. This is a baby step, right? So they were making baby steps with materials, right? So first Titleist introduces tungsten with their AC-108 irons. Now the Mizuno and then later MacGregor are adopting carbon heads and exploring that. And then we explored titanium in the 90s, and you combine them all and you get a modern driver. This is a good baby step. We can't ignore what MacGregor was doing here, exploring new materials. So, back to that question. I think I'm with a lot of you out there on the other side of this camera who are screaming at me, we don't want this, we want wood. And I agree with you, this hasn't aged well. Historically significant. Okay, the industry was moving towards new materials. But aesthetically and emotionally, not quite there yet. Well, wood's made out of carbon. Yes, that argument is there, but this has no soul, no personality, no character. This isn't a one-of-a-kind thing. Oh, there's a ding right here. Does that make it one of a... No, not really. Either way, it is a 945. It does feel amazing. It is, hats off to the design and the materials, but not something I'm going to put in my bag. Let me know your thoughts. I'm excited to read what you guys have to say about one of these carbon graphite driver heads. If you want to support the channel, visit my Amazon shop in the links in the description below. I make proceeds from qualifying purchases. Please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I am the Vintage Golfer.